Hello, beautiful souls. How y'all doing? Um, I wanted to tap in with you guys while I get dressed. I'm going to a gathering, to a shindig, if you will, uh, a celebratory event for some beautiful friends. And I was like, what a good time to just kind of like have a little conversation. And what I wanted to talk to you guys about was surrender. Because I feel like that a lot of times I'm sharing things as they come in, right? So sometimes if something just kind of like sits on my spirit and I'm like, oh, I should share this with people, or this is what came up for me today, and I share that with you guys. And so it's like really organic. And sometimes I feel like it should have more of a flow, but we're just gonna roll with it because half the time, Spirit, I do check in with Spirit and I'd be like, Holy Spirit, do you want me to share this? And Spirit be like, go off. So what came up for me today was around surrender, because I was thinking about, as I'm always doing, thinking about where I'm at in this season of my life, thinking about the things that I've continually had to shed and release, and also just kind of like moving into a new version, integrating that version of me, that version integrating in, right? What else was coming up? And it was a space around, I was thinking about my corporate job, and I was like, I love and am so grateful for the work that I get to do. As some of you know, or may not know, I work in the tech industry, and it's really amazing. I get to do work that impacts lives, hopefully impacts generations. And that's what I get to do. But I'm always thinking about, is that aligned with my purpose? Is that something that I should be doing? Should I be doing something else? Should I be doing something more? And that's where this surrender piece was coming front and center for me, because it's kind of allowing things to flow easily in my life and to rest in who I'm becoming while not trying to do everything else that I would normally do. I don't even know if I explained that correctly, but I'm not going to cut this. We're going to keep on going. So I think it's important to understand, and I'm trying to get it, because it was so fresh and flowing earlier, and it's normally that way. And sometimes I'm like, let me record this right now, or normally I'm like, let me record this right now while it's fresh on my brain. But it's really about kind of like surrendering to the moment. It's surrendering to what is right now and allowing in, more to come, but not stressing over how it needs to get there. I think that is the part that's where the surrender comes in for me. It's really the how, right? Because I'm like, oh, God wanted me to start this podcast. Like I had gotten like just like people that I know that were like, oh, you should do a podcast. And, I got clairvoyance and friends, readings, different things. And they were like, you should really be doing a podcast. Your voice should be heard. You need to do this. And that's like completely outside of my comfort zone. I was like, actually, this person that really was like, I just like to be in the background. I like to be the background person, kind of making things happen. And Spirit was like, you can't lead from the back. And I was like, okay. Spirit was like very direct. You cannot lead from the back. And I was like, okay. And then it was like, okay, well, if I'm going to be doing this, how am I going to do it? How is it going to all come together? And one thing that's been coming up a lot is that in me surrendering, it may change my pathway. I can see it shifting the how. And that's a little bit scary, right? Because for me, I'm conditioned to it being a certain way. Like, I know the formula. So I'm like, okay, cool. I know the formula is going to be like this, right? Like, I know how to get to my financial goals from this perspective, or I know how to get to these things from this perspective. But now Spirit is like, that perspective, that way of doing it isn't available any longer. You have to ride the wave, and you've got to step out on faith, and but it's like in this version, it's the allowing and the listening and not really seeing how all of the how is going to come together. And y'all, it is crazy. Like, it's crazy for me. And that doesn't even include the parts of me that feel like I'm behind, right? That like I possibly should have been further in certain areas of my life. And that's just old programming. That's old information. That's old belief. I'm exactly where I need to be, doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing right now. So that feels good for that to resonate in, because a lot of times we're just so heavy on ourselves. We're always thinking that we need to be doing something differently. We're looking around. We're seeing instant everything. And sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes it's not the instant thing, because when you get it in an instant, it's possible that you aren't able to hold on to it. It's possible that you lose it just as fast as it came in, and you don't get to see it cultivate and grow. You don't get to turn the soil of it. You don't get to experience it, right? You don't get to watch it go from a seedling to a tree to a forest. You know what I mean? Like, you don't get to have that experience because you're only focused on the short term. Okay, we got a seedling. Okay, cool. I'm cool with that. I'm just trying to get more little seedlings, right? I'm not trying to grow a forest. And when you are cultivating something that is connected to the divine, it's a process. And it's more about, I think for me, like the process within the self, right? What God is transforming in me to be able to share with others, the experiences that I'm having to be able to share with others, the individuals that I'm speaking to, the conversations, the people that are resonating with the things that I'm saying. And they're like, oh, thank you so much. I love what you shared. I loved this episode of the podcast. It really hit home for me. I hadn't thought about this. People resonating with the clips and all of the different aspects of me stepping outside of my comfort zone. And I've done speaking, right? I've spoken to hundreds in rooms. When I'm speaking to my work, right? My corporate environment, my social impact work, like it just flows, right? But me being vulnerable with strangers on the internet and telling them about how I feel, telling them about my experiences, that's a whole new paradigm for real, right? And there's so many more challenges that come along with that. Because there's like, you have the judgment. It's so funny because I was talking to a friend of mine, and it took forever for me to just open up my Facebook page. Like my Facebook page, not just my Facebook page, but my Facebook page and my Instagram page were like private for forever. Because I was like, yeah, I don't want nobody just coming to my page. And my friend was like, well, how are people going to find you? How are people going to hear what you have to say? How are they going to know? And I was like, I don't know. And she was like, you not hiding, girl. So open up your page. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. And I'm so glad that she did, because I think that there's people that I have encountered. There's people that have heard my messages. There's people that have viewed things that I have shared, just all the things. And hopefully it helped them. But in this state of surrender, what I'm learning is that the how is not always within the formula of what it has always been. And in this journey, the journey of this is so important. The walk, the faith that I'm having to project outward is so important. And it's even more important of what is cultivated within me during this process, right? You hear about people building businesses all the time. You hear about people, oh, I built this business. I'm launching this class. I'm doing this thing. But like, who did they have to become to do those things? Were they doing those things from a place of authenticity? Were they doing those things in alignment with the Most High? Were they doing them in an authentic place? And then as they were doing them, what were some of the experiences that they were having? What were some of the challenges? What were some of the beauties? What were some of the pitfalls? What were some of the changes? When you step out of your comfort zone and people are used to experiencing you in one way, and you have shifted and you have healed and you are dedicated to your journey and you're saying things in a way that they haven't heard you saying before, people start looking at you very differently. Your friends, your family, and if it can feel very, very lonely, right? It can feel like a very, very lonely place. I've always had a lot of compassion for celebrities, because I was like, it must be very hard to live a life where everyone wants to know, see, thrive, opinionate on what you're doing, right? That you lose a certain piece of your own humanity because you can't walk into a spaces because you're good at a craft, because you have a gift of something that you shared with the world. And because you shared that gift with the world, it made you susceptible to like all this other stuff. And, some people thrive in it. Some people understand that it comes with the territory. Some people don't. It's really challenging for a lot of celebrities too. You see people that go into modes of depression. You see people that have, lost their lives. Like it's so much that happens. And that's just on the celebrity footprint. We're not even talking about just, the everyday. And so it's beautiful to see and experience this journey of surrender and where it's taking me and where it's leading me. And I hope that I'll continue to share more with you all, because I feel like it's valuable. It's hard. It's very hard. It's hard for me to slow down on what I know to do and be like checking in. Today I checked in and I was like, okay, Spirit, what do I need today? Body, what do you need today? And Spirit was like, rest and fun. And I'm like, rest and fun? I do not know how to rest. I'm like, rest? What? No. Me? Because I'm continually thinking about what's going to happen. What do I need to do? What have I not done? I need to paint this banister. What needs to happen in the house? I need to go get these errands done. What am I going to need for next week? Amaria needs shoes. Like, it's a continual laundry list. And it's like and it's nonstop. And I know that's also for quite a few people, especially mothers that have the invisible load. And we're thinking about the doctor's appointment. We're thinking about the dentist appointment. We're making lists. I do brain dumps, so just being able to know that you have a traditional formula that worked for you in so many scenarios, and now you've got to not utilize that formula and depend on the Holy Spirit in a different way. Depend on the Most High and be like, okay, Holy Spirit, what are we doing? And wait for the information to come in. And I'm not going to even get into my issues with receiving and how challenging it had been for me to receive, and because of my hyper independence. And I'm coming out of it now, but it has been a learning process. And just also with that, asking, and I'm asking Spirit often, Spirit, can you help me with this? Can you give me this information? Can you tell me the next step, right? What is the next step that I need to take in this leg of my journey? Now, y'all know that's not easy. That's not an easy thing when you have a formula, when you had a formula that you've been running. So I think that I challenge you to think about the spaces of your life where you can do less. That's one of the things where you can actually ask for more help, where you can delegate out to see how does that feel within your nervous system. Because parts of this also had to resonate into my nervous system. One of the things that I did for myself was I paid for someone to do the laundry. And that helps me because I don't have a lot of time to sit and do the laundry all the time, especially when I have other things like, if I got to clean the house, if I got to work on a strategic plan, if right now I'm not even doing the consulting work that I would normally be doing. But like last year, it was full-time job. It was consulting. It was business. It was all of these things. It was mother. So there was very little room to do just smaller tasks. And that's also a place where energetically I'm keeping the wheel turning, right? Because money is currency. So you're keeping the wheel turning. So don't ever feel guilty for outsourcing anything. I've had amazing women in my life that have achieved, so much, and they're like, outsource as much of the smaller things that you can when you can to help you be more productive in other areas. Maybe it just gives you more time with your kids. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I'm like, I don't want to do laundry. I want to go to the park with Amaria. So that is what I do. But seeing what areas that you maybe can do a little bit less, asking for some support in the areas that you can. And I'm challenging myself with this as well. And then additionally, putting some stuff down. I actually feel like there's a space where I might have to put some things down, or at least kind of not necessarily put them all the way down, but I actually did, to be honest. My online store, I have been working on it, diligently doing a lot of pop-ups, and I have inventory in my storage, but I'm redoing the site, and I had to put it down because mentally I just couldn't handle doing the store, being there for my family, going through a divorce, and just doing all the stuff that was going on, working a full-time job, showing up there in meetings, Like, it was just, and it's not like the job is, it was too much. Y'all get me. So sometimes you have to put a pause on some things to assess if they're continuing to resonate with you, if they're a part of this leg of your journey, and how you're going to be able to kind of like continue to give yourself grace while you're doing all those things. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. I hope that it resonates. I'll post a picture of what I look like. Finally. It seems like this is taking longer than it normally would. It probably is because I'm talking and I'm stopping and I'm moving and shaking. But I would love to hear from you all. I love feedback. I love to hear what resonates and what doesn't. So if this resonated and you're like, girl, I'm right there with you, an emoji, anything, I'm happy to see it. All right, peace and blessings.